Hey guys, so I love this handout. It's talking about how to use quotes, and I always like to give this to my courses and use this in my courses, give this to my students because I think that it's not as clear until you can see a variety of examples for how one quote can take on different meanings depending upon either how you introduce it or, and more importantly, how you analyze the quote, how you really integrate it and explain its relevance in your paper. So I wanted to use this very simple handout. I actually found this online and I just think it's brilliant. And so I like to kind of talk you through it so you can see a variety of ways to make a quote sandwich. So first, as you know, the first step is you're introducing your quote. So these are a variety of ways that you can easily do that. And to introduce your quote, it doesn't take too much effort, just minimal effort in order to state, okay, so-and-so said this, or, to kind of qualify the resource and say, oh, so-and-so from the University of wherever, who's also an expert in blah, who's written over 20 books, states that, and then you give the quote. So for this very simple example, the quote is, "It's not easy being green." Okay, so let's say that's the quote. And you know that Kermit the Frog said this. So if we introduce the quote, we could say something like, as described by Kermit the Frog, it's not easy being green, right? Or something like, Kermit the Frog maintains it's not easy being green, right? Either way, you're just giving us just a very brief intro of your own writing to introduce the quote, right? So the quote's just not hanging out there by itself in your writing, which it cannot do. Okay, so that's the first step, introduce the quote. Then you present the quote. We've accomplished that. That's the second step. Now this is, remember, I told you when we were going over the argumentative format, right, for your paper, that this was the most important step. And I think this handout can really show you why that is. So what if we said, as Kermit the Frog points out, it's not easy being green. Sadly, Kermit isn't always the happy frog he appears to be on TV. Okay, so what does this tell you about why I'm introducing the quote? This little integration here, it actually changes the meaning of what this quote implies. Okay, this makes it sound like I'm going to talk about some, psychological issues, perhaps, maybe depression or something like that. But if I change what I put, if I change what I write after the quote, then it's going to change the implication that the quote has, right? It's going to change the quote's relevance in my writing. So let's look at another example. Kermit the Frog profoundly states, it's not easy being green. Thus, we can see even a famous frog suffers from the color of his skin. Okay, so now this sounds like I'm talking about prejudice, right? Prejudice, racism, right? All those things. Now, let's change it one more time so you can see the difference. Kermit the Frog maintains, it's not easy being green. Judging from his peeling skin, we can see that Kermit is right. The depletion of the ozone makes life difficult for not only humans, but green animals as well. Do you see what I mean? So this is incredible to me. This is like the magic of your writing because your writing dictates what I'm going to think about what someone else has said. And this is the beauty of research writing, right? So you take the quote, of course, you don't want to take the quote out of context, right? The whole point of this example, though, is to show that you are doing the work. The quote's not doing the work on its own. It can't because the quote doesn't belong to your paper. It belongs elsewhere. So if you're going to pull the quote out of another source and put it in your paper, you have to contextualize it according to your subject matter. Okay, and this is what establishes the relevance of the research. It also makes the research carry some significant weight in your paper because you are the one that's showing why this quote is important. The quote is never important in of itself. So I hope this helped you to see how to not only make a quote sandwich, but how important that follow-up after the quote is. Thanks for watching.